Hello, hello, hello. What is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJawProjects.com, creator of Glyph, which is something I'm still working on, work in progress. Yeah, how you guys doing tonight? You'll have to excuse me a little bit because I had that cold like 2 weeks ago, and for whatever reason, it's the cold that just never wants to like fully end. I keep feeling better, and then I have a day with some weird symptoms, and then I'm feeling better for a few days, and then I have another day with some other weird symptoms. Today's weird symptoms are I'm coughing. I've been having this cough in my throat since last night, and it's still here now, and I don't know. I don't get it. I think COVID has affected all colds. I don't know what's going on, but it's mild, mild symptoms, but I keep thinking I'm done and then I'm not. So who knows? I don't know what's going on here. But I'm going to do my best to keep my finger on the hovering over the mute button, and I'll try not to cough in your ears the best I can, and we'll see how long this lasts. I got plenty of stuff I want to talk about, but it's a little hard to talk when you want to cough every 5 seconds. So we shall see. But anyways, other than that, things are going well. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week, a wonderful beginning of November, end of Halloween or October, end of Inktober. A lot of people probably got into the Inktober, and congratulations on your involvement slash finishing if you finished every single day. Congratulations on that. That's a monumental task that I think I've only fully done once, even though I've participated many years, at least partially in Inktober. Um, but if you haven't and you just participated a little bit, congratulations to you for that too, because I think getting any art done is should be celebrated. Why not? Let's just work on our stuff and not feel guilty about it. That's what I'm thinking. Some people were in here way before the show started. We had Adam Lore here. Not sure if he's still here, but he says his comic only has one leg, and that's true actually. He does not lie about that. That's funny. I called this episode your comics have legs. Um, so we'll get into that. We'll get into the topic if I can do it without coughing too much. We'll do our best. We'll get into some sketching. I'll talk about some progress with things and all that fun stuff. So let's see. Paul Pate was also in here at one point. My comic only has one brain and no heart. All right. And Gary Hodges said my comic is mostly bipedal. All right, cool. Well, we're gonna get into it anyways. What's up, Glad Man Comics? How you doing? Thanks for coming by. Dan the Man. Hey Marsh, I'm also streaming. Hello, neighbor. So you're in the chat while you're streaming. That is something I don't quite know how to do, but hey, cool, man. Um, Dan has a really cool channel, also known as Sideburns. Go check him out. So yeah. The other comic guy. Hello, Marsh and gang. Thanks for coming in. And Nathan's here. What's up, Nathan? Um, Nathan, I was thinking about showing off a few things that you gave me the other day. Let me know if that's okay. I would assume it is, but you know, if not, no biggie too. You could text me if you don't like it, and I won't mention it again. um, but yeah, I just thought it would be cool because it's freaking awesome. Farmer Fox, what is up? Thanks. Well, you don't have much to say, but thank you for coming by and being a silent supporter. I really appreciate that. Silent supporters, people who are watching in the background, and lurkers are all welcome, and so are the vocal. What's up, Dede? How you doing? Thanks for coming by. Yeah, I did not lie when I told you I was feeling okay yesterday in your chat, but that was yesterday, and today is today. And for some reason, I have a little bit of cough going on. I don't get it. Michael Hang, what's up? Evening. Won't be staying late, but we'll stick around for a bit. Okay, cool. I don't know how late I'll be staying either, so we'll see. Uh, did Marsh get vaxxed? Yes, I did. Um, a long time ago, but who the heck knows? Does the vax work? I don't know. Does the COVID work? I don't know. What is what? I don't. When I first got this cold, I did take a COVID test, and it was not COVID according to the test. So who knows? Who the heck knows? Um, but anyways, as far as I know, I never got COVID, but you know, I don't know. I probably shouldn't keep saying COVID. Is that like a bad word on YouTube? I don't know. I don't know a lot of things. Let's see. Hatchet Studio. What's up? Hello, hello. But I did want to, like, I contemplated not coming on tonight and just canceling, but I was like, I want to talk to everybody. I want to hang out. And, I actually have things I'd like to talk about that could be cool. And I don't know. I just went with it. Dede finished her Inktober. Congratulations, Dede. That's so awesome. I loved everything I saw. I didn't see the final full thing yet. I'm gonna have to go on Instagram and stalk your social media so I can see the fully finished thing. I haven't been. I've been on TikTok a lot lately, but not other social medias too much. I think I have like things I have to respond to, like on Facebook and some other places, but I'll get to it eventually. Let's see. Let's see. Acid Lace, hello. Thank you for coming by. And Dede with a super chat. Make sure you give Marsh a thumbs up. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dede. That's really awesome of you. You're so supportive. Thank you. That's fine, Marsh. You can show. Cool. Cool. I will be happy to because you make cool stuff. Let's see. And oh my gosh, I hung out with Nathan the other day, and boy, he's got a cool studio. His studio's got video games and nostalgia galore and awesome books and awesome art. And yeah, that was a really fun time hanging out with Nathan, as it always is. And I got to see him in his element. And oh my gosh, like you should see. There's something he created that is so cool out of Lego, and oh my gosh, it's insane. You guys wouldn't even believe it if you saw it. It's so cool. Anyways, so let's see. Adam is here. Cool. What's up, Adam? I know more people that got C with Vax. Yeah, I know, right? You get the Vax, you still get it. So I don't know. If you say COVID too much, you'll get that blurb at the bottom of your videos linking people to Wikipedia article. Yes. And we all know that Wikipedia knows all. So follow Wikipedia blindly. Um, let's see what's up. Yes, in your element. Absolutely. Denise Couture. Hello, my favorite son. Hello, mother. Thanks for coming by. um, yes. All right. So let's get into some stuff. What are we gonna? Well, I'll just talk about the boring stuff, which is my comic first. No, it's I've been working on it, working on in this little sketchbook slash. Really, it's just writing at this point, and it's come out to be. I'm basically mapping out the story as a whole. Um, and it's broken up into 4 chapters. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means 4 issues. I don't know if that means 40 issues, but there's an overarching story that I've kind of mapped out. I'm still working on it, but it's coming together. I'm excited about it. It's really cool. And I'm just realizing I haven't coughed yet. So if you hear weird pauses and hear weird mutes, that's probably me coughing, like this time. Ah, gotta love the mute button. All right. So, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, so I've been working on Glyph, trying to work on it every day. Don't get to it. I haven't gotten to it every single day, if I'm going to be honest, but I've been working on it. I've also been working on some sketching. We'll get into that in a little bit. I should have brought, I do have tissues right here, so that's nice. How convenient. So, yeah, I'm not going to blow my nose, especially not in your. But I will clear my nose from time to time if need be. I haven't been like really super uh-oh, is the light gonna change? I haven't been super into or super, drippy like that, but I have been coughing today. So anyways, chicken soup, yes, I need some chicken soup. I had some good dinner tonight though. It was meat sauce and pasta. I mean, what's better than that? I don't know. I don't know. So since Nathan's here, well, he's always here, which is cool, but check this out. These are, and it's going to be like so reflective, but these are some prints of Nathan's. And these are like older pieces. These, I mean, from 2010. And he does these digitally painted artwork, and it looks like it's traditionally painted. It's amazing. And he had a bunch of prints, and he said, if you want, you could have some. So I was like, cool, yes, please, I would love some. And so these will be hung up at some point in the studio, and I'm really loving it. There was so much. I mean, if you guys haven't checked out Nathan Rosario's art, I mean, I'll tell you, my mods, Dede and Nathan, are really good artists, and that's really cool. Sorry for the reflection. It's tough. I guess I could try to see. Then it doesn't look as good, and then it still has reflection. So maybe I can adjust stuff here a little bit. But I think I'm gonna. Hopefully, you guys can kind of see it a bit, and I'll just do my best here. See if I can bring down the brightness. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to fix these things. One day I'll be a professional YouTuber. Um, I have an assistant trying to diffuse the light. Yeah, I don't know if it's really working or not, but that's okay. I'll just kind of angle it so you can sort of see it. If you want to see his art like in its full awesomeness, go to his website, which is in the description, but I'll put it in the chat as well, so you guys can check it out. But he's really good. I have more prints I'll show you too in a second, but I just want to put that link, ancientearthstudios.com. And let's see. Let's put it in here. And he's got so much cool art. My wonderful assistant is once again trying to diffuse the light. It's a little bit better. It's hard to say. I need to get like professional like lighting, and I'm thinking about I need to get a microphone too, because it's been too long and I've done 900 videos. Maybe it's time to update the mic. I don't know. Um, so yeah, here is the link. Do 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 to Nathan's artwork, and here's another one. And again, these look so much better on his website. So I freaking love it. It's amazing art, you know. And then we got another one here. And so I got 3 of them, you know. Like I said, you guys got to check out his website. This will give you an excuse to go check out his website, because the lighting isn't so great, you know. So That's all right. I'm glad I have a light. Some people don't have lights, you know? Some people, I mean, how did we do YouTube videos before electricity? I don't get it. Um, also, another cool thing I got recently is something else you can't see because it's too bright. It's this, which is a Polish newspaper, like crime news type of thing. And it's interesting. I like it because the art is very comic booky. And I mean, I don't know how to read this or anything, but it's in newsprint, and all the art is done by the same two artists. I don't know if one's the photographer and one's the artist, but um, let's see. Right here, you can kind of see the artist's name. I haven't tried to Google these people yet, but it's Monica Kaminsky or something like that. And Jacek, I think is might be how you Rapinski. I don't know. I don't know Polish. Um, but yeah, I just love this like graphic art style, brush type style. And there's just so many really cool illustrations in here. Some of them are like really clever, some of them are very basic, but some of them are like figurative and stuff. And I just thought this was so cool and I had to get it. And yeah, I don't know. I just figured I'd show you guys this really cool. I like that illustration. And the story of this is basically somebody, I think this guy like was an alcoholic and he like murdered his girlfriend or something and stuffed her in the couch, which is not very wholesome, obviously, but I think this is a cool illustration. So yeah, and let's see. I like this illustration. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Eisner, a little bit. Just almost, it's not even the style exactly as just the kind of playing with visuals and figurative kind of metaphorical type stuff a bit, and I don't know, just cool little illustrations throughout the whole little newspaper thing. Um, that's a coffin on top of a car with money flying out and legs. Hey, does your comic have legs? This one does. It reminds me of comics, even though it's not comics. So, some more cool stuff. Oh yeah, this one is about, it's like a guy is like fishing for, I don't know, he finds like blood. I don't know. I think it's called, it says bloody catch. Yeah, that's right. This says bloody catch in Polish, basically. So yeah, that's what this one is. I have a translator who's helped me with this, so um, my own personal translator. And let's see. Then there's some actual comics in here. I don't think it's the same artist or anything, but there is some actual comics in here, like one panel comics, so that's cool. Here's some more. Again, this is, crime news. You can see the cop pig thing, got pig nostrils, and I'm assuming that's what that is. And corruption, more corruption. This guy's flexing his muscles, trying to impress the chicks, the ladies. I forget what this one is, but another person, going towards the dark side, so fun stuff, drama, intrigue. Here we go. There's some superhero action right there. Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. it's like art, death is the artist or something. He's painting in blood. Some cool imagery. Kind of reminds me of Robert Crumb a little bit too, or like Dan Klaus, or like it's just really cool. Like story, there's definitely storytelling in these illustrations. Even without knowing how to read this, I can kind of get part of the story just by looking at the illustrations. So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Aw, heart on a gun. What is that Beatles song? Happiness is a warm gun. There you go. So yeah, that's that. Thought that was pretty neat. So we'll get to the chat here, and then we'll get into the sketchbook and talk some talk. Let me just mute for a sec. Fun. All right. And I got my trusty seltzers. So that's good. Oh, we got more dating online spam here. Cool. Gonna block that person. An error occurred. Block user. Don't error me. Maybe one of the mods can fix that. If not, I'll go and try again. Yes, I have my translator. Let's see. Are these prints for sale, Nathan? Good question. Yep, it is incredible, right? He's got some really cool art. Dede's going to take a peek at the website, Nathan's website. I don't have a store or anything. They are old. They are from 2010, but they're freaking amazing. They don't look like they're, old. What's up, Frank? Hello, sir. Let's see. I don't know, man. I don't know how to spell or say the words. Fingerprint face. I know, that was like cool. I thought that was really cool. The title is just detective. Yeah. I think I knew that much. I don't draw many legs in my comics. That doesn't mean that your comic doesn't have legs, though. In fact, I would say that your comic probably does have some legs, sir, and we'll get into that soon. Let's see. Fingerprint face looked like Gargamel from Smurfs. It did look like Gargamel, you're right. That's good. I didn't think of that, but you're right. Detective Comics in Polish. I know, right? That's like the Detective Comics. That's interesting. I didn't think of that connection. Draw your mother as a comic. The birth unit, yes. Oh boy. Okay, cool. So, man, I've been getting into all kinds of things. So you might have seen I did a YouTube short the other day. And I was talking about observational drawing and doing an observational drawing comic. And so that's what I kind of started in my sketchbook. I came across this guy, Vincent Nappy. He is on YouTube. He's on TikTok and different places. And he was just talking about, filling up your sketchbooks with observational drawing, and you should do more observational drawing, which is basically, if you don't know what it is, it's literally just drawing from reference, or drawing from whatever you see, whatever's nearby, drawing the mundane, drawing from other artists, just copying, which I do all the time. As you can see, some of this is that. Here's some observational drawing I did of grapes in a clear plastic thingy. you know, and cushions and such. You know, it's nothing amazing. It's not meant to be anything to impress anybody. But I was like, well, yeah, I totally agree. Like, I want to just spend time in my sketchbook every day from now on. I mean, I always want to do that more and more so I can get better at drawing. Um, and he said and so I thought, well, maybe I could make like, I've talked about doing like abstract comics, and I've done some. Well, why not make an observational drawing comic, or at least comic pages? So I started that already because it's just like it doesn't need to be good or anything. It's just, all I'm really doing is incorporating panels, characters, and word balloons and just having fun. So I did start that, and this is the first page I did so far. And each panel is a different observational drawing with different implements and stuff. And it doesn't really tell a story, but maybe you could say it's not meant to really. It's just meant to be fun. I just drew some panels and then started filling them up. And then I put some speech bubbles and put some words in it, mostly just drawing things so far. So, like, this one says, drawing the mundane for artistic gain. Um, and don't think, just draw, which is one of these things that this guy, Vincent Nappy, said. And yeah, so here's some blind contour drawing right here, and then just drawing from reference, things from Pinterest and different places. This one's from an old public domain comic, you know. So that's what I'm gonna, keep doing that as I'm writing Glyph and working on other things. I want to at least keep filling up sketchbook pages, and I have lots of old sketchbooks that need that are incomplete, So I'm gonna be putting books in strategic places so that I always have a sketchbook nearby, and whenever I have time, I'm gonna try, instead of picking up my phone, to not always, obviously I'll pick up my phone whenever I feel like it, but like sometimes I want to, instead of picking up my phone, pick up the sketchbook, do a little sketch, and just practice, 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 try to get in as much time as I can, you know. So yeah. And I go by my Marsh makes comics for a reason, so why not make a comic out of it? Come on, guys, so yeah, that's what I'm going to do, some of that tonight as we talk about some things. And yeah. And some cool things like that this Vincent Nappy guy said was, he basically is saying, like, it's not even like about necessarily getting better, although, well, it is about getting better, but it's also just about enjoying making art. Like, a lot of us artists got into making art because we enjoy actually doing it. Like, there's nothing wrong with just enjoying it for what it is. It's meditational, it kind of centers us, a lot of us. I don't know. I do like getting just lost in the details of a of drawing from reference personally. And I think it's actually a really healthy thing to not always have to have a goal when you're drawing. Obviously, sometimes you do have a goal, but sometimes you don't have to have a goal. Just draw some stuff, you know. Inspiration is in your butt, as Dede says. Just sit down and start drawing. At the very least, do it as a warm up to get things flowing with your arm and everything. Um, One of the things he said, I wrote down here: the point of making the art is to make the art. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah. And he said, create and don't give yourself time to think. It's not about making good drawings. It's just about working doing the drawings and getting your arm and your hand to kind of get that muscle memory, and just getting out as many crappy drawings as you can. Some of them will turn into good drawings. Studying some of the great artists that you love, you can do that too. Um, and he said something about, like, he was talking about like dopamine and stuff, and like he said to only accept creativity as a source of reward, which I don't know. I wish like I had a better like quote here, because it sounds a little awkward the way I'm saying it, but I thought it was interesting to think of just like doing the actual act of doing the art as a reward in and of itself. And I really like that because it reminds me of what I've learned through doing modular synthesis stuff. Like sometimes I just go and start working on a patch and start working on sounds and stuff, and it just takes me into like this place where there's like just these amazing sounds coming out of the machine, and I'll tweak something here and there, and it'll like evolve into something else. And then sometimes you just kind of sit there and you just listen, and it's just amazing what this machine is doing. um and it's just fun. It's generative, it's enjoyable, it's meditative, and that's what I feel like drawing from reference can be as well. I know, at least for me, that's what it like. I definitely could relate when this guy was talking. um he has a website, and I should put the link in the description if you guys are interested. And you can so he's got like this free class, and it's just a little half an hour video. It's just about observational drawing, and I found it very inspirational. He's got other classes that you could pay for. I didn't pay for anything, but uh I really enjoyed, and I actually listened slash watched that free class twice because it was so just inspirational to me. Um so I'm hoping I could find his link. Um this could be it. Hopefully this is it. This looks like it might be it. Courses, make your mark. I think that's the course. Maybe not. No, yeah, that's the one you can buy, but there's a free course. Yeah, I think if you just sign up for the newsletter, you get the free class. So, yes, sign up to gain access to your free observational drawing class. So, I'll put that link in the description. If you guys want to check it out, check it out. If not, no big deal too. Um, so Vincent Nappy observational drawing class. I thought it was really inspirational, and I've already done, plenty of observational drawing, but I don't think we ever should really stop as artists. I think it's just a good practice to be in, and it's like you don't have to worry about what am I going to sketch today in my sketchbook. Like you just open up Pinterest, open up whatever social media, and draw like the first thing you see that looks cool. Or don't open anything up. Just look around you and draw what you see. And it doesn't matter if you draw it very well or not. Like that's not the point of observational drawing. You're literally just exploring, and you're learning, and you're enjoying the act of drawing. And I think there's something really cool to that. Let's see. I'll grab my sketchbook and take it with me. See, that's the thing, is like that's what I do, but I don't always grab my sketchbook and take it with me. And I find sometimes I grab it and take it with me, and then I don't use it. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, I really would love to sketch right now, but I didn't happen to bring my sketchbook with me this time. So I want to just, I'm going to keep, I have so many sketchbooks that need to be filled up. I'm just going to keep like one in the car. I'm going to keep one, instead of having to keep it with me. Like I'm going to keep one in this area, like downstairs, upstairs, whatever. And so that I don't have to go find my sketchbook. I can just find whatever one is I've left there, and just draw. It's like stream of consciousness writing. Absolutely. It's totally like that. That's a good way to put it. A stream of consciousness drawing. Yep. Let's see. I need to bring my sketchbook to work. Yeah, I mean that too. I don't always bring my sketchbook to work, and I always find that I want to draw when I don't have it. It seems like more often than not. So, yeah. Uh, Ariana Howard, how you doing? Listening to rock and metal gives me motivation to create. Hey, there you go. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people are very inspired by music. One person that comes to mind especially is hold on. Jim Mahfood. He always, when I think of people who draw with music in mind, he's like the first person I always think of. But there's been, I'm sure many artists who do. Some people do their art better in silence. I tend to do that, and I don't know why. But also, like, for me, I like to make music. So music sometimes is a distraction, and it makes me think of wanting to make music while I'm trying to draw. So sometimes that doesn't work so well for me, weirdly. So, yeah. Let's see. All right, so I guess I could kind of get into the topic. Let me find some kind of reference thing to draw. I've been like looking for a lot of like just like reference for like glyph and stuff like that for the comic, and like creating characters and stuff. So that's what I tend to go to. Oh, this is kind of a cool. I'm gonna use this comic book plus. Comicbookplus.com is like one of the coolest websites ever, in my opinion. And it's a place where they have, if you don't know, they have public domain comics, old comics mostly, and you can use that as you will for whatever. So that's cool. Or you could just enjoy reading the comics too. Nothing wrong with that as well. So I don't have the pen that I wanted to use that I used before, but that's all right. I got other pens. I don't know what happened to that. Oh, here it is actually. This is the Pilot Parallel pen. It's a cool pen that has like this chisel nib. I love this. It's good for like calligraphy and stuff, where you write words. But I also like it for like it's got that cool splattery effect if you use it that way. And also you can get thin lines and thick lines and get really cool variable lines and stuff. So yeah, cool stuff. You get interesting textures and all that. Let me see if I can get the focus going better here before I get into things. No autofocus. All right, so oh, this is going to be a problem. I'm going to start on a different page. All right. So what I'm going to do is copy the panels from, oh, I lost it, from this one particular page that I think is cool. And it's kind of like a splash page. And, so that way it's, I could do like one kind of bigger drawing and then do some smaller drawings. And let's see, there's like a word balloon here that's going here. I like to just put some arbitrary word balloons, and then there's like this thought bubble situation going on. And even this is like technically observational. um, and then there's some panels down here, just regular. Let's see. We got one panel like this. Maybe I'll just leave this one open. So yeah, and then I could draw stuff in these. There's actually two panels here in the example, but I'm going to just leave it open. So there's that. I might draw this guy thinking here because it's kind of a cool pose, and then I'll find some other reference as I'm talking and chatting. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day and wonderful beginning to the week, beginning to the month. All right, so I was going to call this video "Nurturing Intellectual Properties," but instead I thought "Your Comics Have Legs" was more fun. So man, I just been thinking about different things, and all right, I guess I'll start with, maybe I'll put like a piece of paper down here so I don't smudge. Not that it matters that much if I smudge, but whatever. So, maybe I'll use a different pen here. And it'll be interesting to draw something, because there's imagery in this word bubble instead of words, or in this thought bubble, which is pretty neat. So I'm going to go in with the ballpoint pen because I love using ballpoint pen. And we're going to try to get this gesture in first. And again, it's observational drawing, doesn't have to be perfect. So, I was thinking about, like, I stumbled on yet another TikTok, and this guy was like, he was doing he was doing gutter cleaning work. And you guys might have come across him. I don't know. He's a guy who does gutter cleaning, and he's on YouTube and he's on TikTok, and he's making like $300 for, like, 45-minute to an hour session of gutter cleaning. And it's like, you start adding that up, and it's like, okay, you just need to do three houses in a day, 4 houses in a day, depending on how much it's getting paid, and you're getting like $1,000. And all he has is like a leaf blower, a ladder, and the scrub brush. Now he's doing it in Seattle, I guess, where there's like all this moss on the roofs. So the scrub brush is like pretty easily scrapes off the moss, and it's, you got to be willing to go up in heights, which I'm perfectly willing to do. Not that I'm going to do this or anything, but but it was just like, wow, like, he has this cool like little business, and he does other things too, like power washing and stuff. And I'm like, wow, like, I mean, what we do as artists, I mean, even at a basic level, it's more skill than that. That's not like hard to do. I mean, if you're afraid of heights, then obviously it's not your thing. But it's something that I know that I could do. I wouldn't have actually a problem at least doing one of the jobs. I don't know if I'd start a business or what, but like, but it was just making me think, like, he's getting this money, and not that everything's not about money, but it's just making me think, because I it's we all need money, and so I'm like, well, what could I do, like, with art, like, and stuff like that. So I was just thinking about that stuff. It got me thinking more about the business side of things a bit. And that's not, what this episode is it's about a bunch of things, but you know, uh, I just thought it was cool, like, and it also made me think like art is art is super valuable, but the world doesn't tend to value it that much, unfortunately. Like, um, as far as like the usually so more often than not, like if you're a free, I've heard from a lot of freelance illustrators, and I've experienced some of it myself. More often than not, people are trying to get bargains and stuff, and people won't pay you what you're worth. And it's like you got to kind of take what you can get. And there's a reason why there's a term called the starving artist. And I don't know, there's all kinds of problems. I don't want to get like into all the craziness and politics of it all or whatever, but um it's just that like I feel like there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to like make, you know, a quick like $300 for an hour or 2 hours worth of work. Now, we could get commissioned to do something, and it's like it'll take us like 20 hours and we'll get maybe $500 or something, maybe. um I mean, you think about how much people pay for comic artwork, and that's like you get $500 for a comic page, then you're like one of the most sought after comic book artists out there. Very few, I don't think even in the professional world that they get that much money for one comic page that might take them all day to do. You know what I mean? So like I don't know, like I don't really know exactly the pro rates. Maybe they do make that much, but like especially for us indies, we can't command that price a lot of times. I mean, I've asked create artists, how much they charge because I wanted to hire artists to do some of my stuff as well. And like even though I can make my own stuff, I also have the idea enough ideas to write, enough stories that it'd be nice to have somebody else doing some of the art for some too. So, um and the prices usually don't go much above 100 for, sometimes it might be 150 for a comic page, a fully inked, drawn and inked comic page. And that's like it's kind of highway robbery. It's like the skill it takes to make a comic book page, like it's just not right. And then, what'll happen sometimes is I've seen like people like get they've gotten jobs from Marvel and DC, not for making comic book pages, but for doing like an art like card like art for some of their like cards or something like that, or just like different like almost um advertisement type stuff, and they actually make more money from that than they would from a comic page. Or if you go into any kind of advertisement work, you'll tend to make more money. I mean, if you were to do storyboards, which is like a much lesser skilled version of comics almost, you make more money, for basically what we think of as thumbnails. You can actually, that's one of the few art jobs you can actually make some decent money at, relatively easy. But from what I hear, the demand like on your time is insane. A lot of times they want you to get stuff done over the weekend, and they just have like crazy demands of the amount of work you need to get done to get paid. But if you can hack it, you can make some good money. So, you know, but the thing is like, why can't we do an hour's worth of work and make $300? I mean, I think that our creativity is worth that. Like, I think our skill level, even at lower skill levels, like I would say mine's like, pretty it's not like super amazing skill level. Like I'm not, some of the more um there's definitely like most people are pretty skilled and maybe more skilled than me. I'm like at a I don't know what level I'm at. I don't need to like sit here and try to figure out what level I'm at, but like um I just know I feel like I have a realistic idea of where I'm at, and I think even at my level my art is worth being able to make a living off of. But one of the problems is too is that we oh, let me mute. I was about to cough without muting. um, um, one of the problems is there's too much supply. Supply the rules of supply and demand. There's just so many artists that want to make a career out of this stuff, and they're so desperate a lot of times. If there was a deficit of artists that wanted to do it, then there'd be more demand. So that's kind of one of the biggest. I'd say that's actually one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest hurdles we have to deal with. So then you start thinking about like niching down, or there's all kinds of different techniques that people can use to kind of, I don't know, like find ways around that, I guess. Um, One of them is finding like a good niche, you know, and kind of developing a clientele around that niche. Um, and YouTube. There's all kinds of different ways. There's never been a better time for artists to make a living than there is now, actually. Um, that doesn't still doesn't mean it's easy though. But there's a lot of opportunity out there that I think a lot of times we don't realize how much opportunity we actually have, and it depends. Everybody's got different goals too. Again, I just talked about observational drawing, and the art is its reward in and out of itself. So that is a true thing too. And a lot of us just make art because we want to make art. I mean, I think we all actually do that when it comes down to it. We didn't nobody If anybody gets into art for the money making possibilities, you're kind of barking up the wrong tree. It doesn't make sense to get into it specifically for that, but that doesn't mean the thing is you can actually make a lot of money from art. It's just you just got to find that right thing, and once you found it, it's actually hugely can be hugely scalable. But that's the hard part. That's the challenge a lot of us face who want to do such things. Um, so, um, so anyways, I was just thinking about how this guy is like scraping moss off of a roof for 40 minutes and blowing out the gutters real quick with the leaf blower, and I'm like, geez, like I know that my art is worth that much, like, and I and so I was also thinking like, well, what can I do as an artist like that's really quick? Like maybe I could create a style that's like quick enough. That's part of the reason too, is it takes us too long a lot of times to do our art, and we get hung up on artist things that the common person who isn't an artist wouldn't get hung up on. Like they just think, oh, that's amazing art, where we're like, we just see the one flaw that we made in the anatomy on that one leg, you know. And then we like, rip it up and do it over again, and like all this silly stuff, whereas like it actually was passable and usable probably. And we do that to ourselves all the time. That is a very common, artist thing that we do. We get, I think we pull too much of our identity from our creativity. When you're trying to do it commercially, I'm saying, like, not that you shouldn't, identify with your creativity in that way, but if you're trying to do commercial work and trying to make a living, you have to. I think part of the trick is to learn to be less precious. I think that comes. That's a thing for a lot of aspects of art, anyways. But especially if you're trying to do something commercially with it. Um, and again, there's always have to say the caveat, like there's nothing wrong with just making art and making comics because you love it and enjoying that, and not even trying to do anything commercial with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Um, so anyways, yeah, I was just kind of thinking about that, but then I'm thinking, like, well, I already have ideas and plans of what I want to do and all that stuff. And a lot of it does revolve around, YouTube, social media. But it also mostly, like, obviously, the biggest thing is it revolves around comic books. That's what I want to do, is make comic books. That's what I do, and I enjoy doing. Um, and usually I'm not super, like, motivated to do art if it doesn't have to do with, like, storytelling in some way. And obviously comic books is a great way for that. Now, what kind of opportunities do we have and stuff like that? I guess that's not really exactly what I wanted to talk about, but, like, it's around that, is this idea of, like, nurturing intellectual properties. So that's what I always, every time I, like, have this kind of, oh man, like, business, like, I don't know. I want to say like anxiety or like panic, but it's not. I'm not panicking, but just like these thoughts about these kind of things. I always have to remind myself, what it is why did I get into this art stuff for? Why did I get into this making comics or writing stories? You know, and I don't even know if I always 100% know the answer to that. I don't know if we have to know the answer to that, but I know a little bit of the answer to that, and it's just because I enjoy doing it. It's because I like the idea of creating stories. I just enjoy the journey of that. I enjoy learning how to create stories. I enjoy the idea of sharing um, things that I come up with the world. I enjoy the idea of sharing something with somebody that touches them and helps them in some way, or that just they enjoy, that brings enjoyment to their life, and there's all kinds of things that I do this for that isn't the money. And so I have to always remind myself, okay, like, don't get caught up on, like, chasing money or anything, or, like, I mean, that's part of it. That is something I do want, like, to make a career out of it. But if I get caught up in that, like, those, when you chase something, this is something that my buddy Fue tells me all the time, and I agree. Um, if you chase something, that means it's like running away from you. Like, I don't know if that 100%, if you guys agree or if that makes sense, but, it's you don't want to chase things. When you chase things, they kind of run away from you. Like money, if you chase money, you're not gonna. The people who find wealth a lot of times aren't people who are desperately chasing it. A lot of times they just enjoy the game of finding interesting ways to make money. Like, I follow a lot of entrepreneur type people, and the ones who truly do that seem to be, like, the most successful usually. And I don't want to get into, like, a discussion of, like, all that, because, like, I know some people don't like things like capitalism and and I don't know, just some of that businessy slime stuff that people think of as slimy businessy stuff and all that. But I personally think that as artists, we need to be a little bit more business minded sometimes. And I do believe that we can make a good thriving living off of this stuff. I just haven't figured out my version of that yet. But there's plenty of examples of people out there who have done it, and who are doing it, especially in this day and age. Um, there's plenty of examples of people who are trying and not doing it as well. So, you gotta make sure you take a little dose of reality with whatever it is, you learn and take in. Um, but the you know so I always end up coming to the conclusion that, okay, I'm in this, like, I want to create, like, stories. I want to create characters. Like, my inspiration, I look at my inspiration. My inspiration is people like Jack Kirby, Eric Larson, and I'm talking about on an artistic level. I don't care about their beliefs or thoughts on certain things. Rob Liefeld, people who created characters and created worlds and created comics and stories. Um, and like one of the big models that I really love and think about a lot, even though I don't want my stuff to be like this person's necessarily, or go the same exact path, but Walt Disney to me is hugely inspirational. Uh, what he built around intellectual properties, and obviously, again, there's everything has to have like this caveat, like, there's politics behind what Disney does nowadays, buying up all the properties and all that stuff. And even what Walt Disney did in his time, sometimes there's some controversy and stuff. But I'm thinking about the artistic, the creative inspiration is really what I'm getting at here. So I got to find another reference picture here. So and the thing is intellectual properties. So if you've ever read, like, looked into, uh business books and stuff, or marketing books, or just anything in that realm, like, you would have come across books like Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read that a long time ago when I was younger. um Gary Vaynerchuk's, Crush It is amazing. I love that book. I really like his Thank You Economy book too. uh How to Win Friends and Influence People, all these, like, there's so many books on, like, success and all this stuff. And I've read a lot of them, or listened to the audio of a lot of them. And whoops, I clicked the wrong thing. I hate that Pinterest, half the pictures are like ads. Like, you click on them, you want to use it for reference, and it's an ad, and you can't see the picture like you want to. But anyways, uh, so let's see. Sometimes I like to use a different pen, but maybe I'll just stick with the ballpoint. Let me cough again. Sorry, guys. Did it pause? There we go. So, but one of the first ever books that I read, and I think actually my mom might have given it to me, um, was this book called, The Richest Man in Babylon. Very classic, old school, well known book. I'm sure a lot of you guys and gals have heard of some of these books. Um, but you know, just interesting book. And what that book, the main takeaway that book, you know, gave to me was, or really says, for anybody, is get your money to work for you. Don't do all the work. Like you earn some money, but get your money to work for you as well. And what is that? That's investing, and again, your comic books have legs, Um, and again, this isn't necessarily all about business. I'm going to get more to the point, soon enough. Um, but uh, so this idea of like, you know, having hold on, I got a cough again. So this idea of like having your money like taking on a life of its own almost type of thing, and investing, I just started thinking about that. And I used to think that the only way to invest is the stock market and real estate. And I was always like a little bit frustrated that that was the only thing you could do. Um, but actually, that's not true. I mean, obviously, on a metaphorical level, you can invest in, you kind of anything, but there's also you can buy businesses and stuff. That's another way to invest. Obviously, that's not something I'm probably going to do, that's not my thing, but um but you can also you can invest in yourself, which that's a little bit different, but it's not at the same time, but that's more along the lines of what I'm thinking. Because if you invest in yourself, that's like building skills that are marketable or something, or just skills that will help people. It doesn't have to be about money. Investing in other people, obviously there's that too, but I'm still trying to think about like what are other ways to invest where your money kind of works for you, or something takes on a life of its own, um, where you're almost nurturing things yourself. And then I always get reminded, oh yeah, the thing I really want to do is create intellectual properties. And it's not that I want to be like, it's just that that's the thing. I like the idea of creating characters. I like the idea of creating stories. And that's what I'm inspired by the most, when it comes to creativity. That's probably one of the biggest things I'm inspired by. Um, and even just artistically, not even take the money out of it and stuff. That's what gets me excited when I think about creating characters and introducing them to the world, and like telling stories about them and having people read the comic and be affected by it and stuff, or whatever it is, the animation, whatever it is that you do. And so it just that gets me going. That gets my juices flowing, gets me excited about making things. But also it is a monetary thing. That's the thing, is like we actually have such great opportunity to do that more than ever, and again, I think of like Walt Disney as such like one of the best models of this, that we've ever seen. And there's many other people who have done it on their own level too. And I think that in a lot of ways, that's what we're all doing in our own little way, is we're creating our own little uh intellectual property farm, I guess. And not everybody, some people have one story they want to tell, so that everybody's got kind of their different version, and not everybody's kind of approaching it this way, but I think a lot of us, you know that's kind of what we're doing. And I know that's something that inspires me, at least. And if we're making like multiple comics and creating multiple stories, I think of Stephen King as a good example of that as well. Like I always think of Stephen King when it comes to that kind of thing. Um, and there's a lot of people out there who have done it. Some people have done it with one property. I think of Bill Waters. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Bill Waters, right? Um, uh, Calvin and Hobbes, Bill Waters, and or is it Watterson? Well, I'm like, I, sh- I don't know. I'm horrible sometimes, even with like very well known names and stuff. But and I was thinking of the difference between him and Charles Schultz. And there's that whole thing of where Bill Watterson, like I can't sit here and talk about him and consistently mess up his name. I'm sure Adam and anybody else is probably screaming at me right now because everybody is very most of us are artists, especially comic book creators, are super big fans of what he did. But for some reason I'm an idiot, so let's see. Bill Watterson, okay. Yeah, okay. Anyways, so Bill Watterson, and I was thinking, like, I never really thought about, like, how respected obviously he is, and also Charles Schultz. Like, I'm sure Bill Watterson is like influenced even by like Charles Schultz. I mean, I know obviously he's like influenced by other artists as well, and Pogo was, I think, big for him, and big inspiration and stuff like that. But you know, I just think like, but as far as the commercial side of things, he was big on like, I'm not gonna license my stuff to anything. There's no, you know, official Bill Watterson approved merch of of Calvin and Hobbes, and that's a whole other debate, really. And but I don't really agree, honestly, with that approach exactly. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't agree. I mean, good for him, cool. Like, I don't have a problem with him making that decision. But sometimes it makes me feel like, should I feel bad about the idea of commercializing my art? I don't think so. Like, Charles Schultz is very respected amongst comic book creators, and he should be, and I mean, he licenses stuff out all over the place, and I don't think it cheapens it. I actually think it enhances it. Um, you know, a lot of people wouldn't be so into Peanuts and what he created if it weren't for, the holiday special cartoons. Like, a lot of us remember it. Like, would we remember Peanuts so much if it wasn't for those holiday specials? I don't know. He might have been, his stuff might have been lost, and now, then there's the books and stuff, the Peanuts books, and that's the one thing that Bill Watterson did do, was he did publish at least the book versions and stuff, which is cool. But so, and I think of Calvin and Hobbes, and it's like, it's so cool, but when it comes down to it, like, I don't know, like, I love it as art. To me, that's like really cool art. But when I remember reading it, I'm like, well, I didn't even understand it as a kid. Like, some of this stuff was like, it sounded like Calvin and Hobbes, like it was like a kid talking adult language sometimes. Sometimes it was just fun, and it was just, and there was interesting but there was a bunch of them that I didn't even understand. So anyways, that's kind of more of an aside, something that I was thinking about when thinking about this whole idea of nurturing our intellectual properties. Um, Another thing too that's interesting about this whole topic is, um, we're all the experts, I guess, are saying we're kind of headed for a recession and things like that, or maybe we're partially in it already, but it's going to get worse and all this kind of thing. And then I'm, also learning about, like, there's things that are recession proof or relatively. And what are those things? I don't know 100%. We'll only know when we see, type of thing. But, a lot of people are saying like people who do well with things like YouTube, creating content, all that stuff is somewhat, if you do good with it, it's somewhat recession proof because people go to that for relief from their worries and stuff. They want to be entertained, they want to listen to something that's hopeful, all that kind of stuff. Just stories in general, like we do gravitate towards stories in times of trouble. We always gravitate towards stories, really. And there's so much you can do with story and all that. So, I'm just thinking about that too. Like, I want to, obviously, I want to keep my job, like, and stuff like that, even though I don't like my job, but, you know, but I'm also thinking about, what kind of side income can I have? Like, how can I, you know, build the things I want to build? Is there extra things I can do? Is there a way out of this job that I don't like and into something that's more meaningful to me, aka, creating stories and getting my stories out there and stuff? Is that even something I should, like have any hope for as far as like any kind of business gain or whatever? Or should I just do it as a hobby and enjoy that and let it be that? These are things I've thought about my whole life, that I've tried to figure out. And, I'm not sitting here trying to decide anything. I know what I'm doing, like what I want to do and all that. But I still like to talk about it. I still like to think about like how, strategies slash just the artistic passion that we have. Like, I think I think we need to encourage ourselves, like, this skill of telling stories is worth something. This skill of creating art and enjoyment for people is worth something. Even if you don't make a living off of it, it's worth something. Like, say you're having a hard time or whatever, and the weekend finally comes and it's like you're going out and, we can't afford a lot of things, but maybe we can afford having a campfire, and maybe one of our friends comes over or our uncle comes by or whoever, and they have a guitar and they know how to sing some cool tunes that we like. And we sit around the fire and we tell, what do we do? Also, we tell stories around the fire, type of thing. We make up ghost stories, things like that. Like, these are the things that provide relief in times of trouble. This is also just relief in all times. There's something that's worth something there. And 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 I just feel like, again, thinking about like, this guy who's making all this money just off of cleaning roofs. Well, that's he's providing a service that other people don't want to do. A lot of times people they don't like to go on hikes. They don't want to clean their own roof, whatever. Like, he's doing something that other people don't want to do, and he's making a good living on it. I think that's cool. But it just makes me think, like, I know that the skills that I've worked my whole life to build, those are worth something too. And so I don't know. I don't know really what my point is exactly, but I do think that there's a lot of opportunity for us, especially as comic book creators, like, to really remember what our worth is as far as like writing stories and making art and all this stuff. And also just the idea of intellectual properties. There's a lot of opportunity there. I think that's untapped, and it's untapped a lot of times because us artists don't tend to be business minded. And I think there's nothing wrong with being a little bit business minded and adding that. eh, I mean, just a little bit of business mindedness can go a long way, especially for us artists, because a lot of us aren't like that. And just to believe more in what we make and be less precious about things. There's a lot of lessons that can be gained in this kind of thing. Um, and just like even doubling down on like, okay, I made a thing. I made a comic. A lot of us here have created a comic. I've created little comics, but I haven't created anything. I mean, I'm working on Glyph. That's my like going to be my first what I feel like is a substantial creation that actually can have legs, whereas the other stuff I've created is cool and everything. And, the YouTube channel is something that has a little bit of legs too. And that's creative as well. But, as far as my stories, Glyph is kind of the thing that I think I'd like to push forward and I'm working on. But my other comics that I've made are more like just little short stories and stuff, and that also can be a cool thing. Um, that that can you can think in this way, but the thing is a lot of times we create our stories, and this is one of the lessons I kind of want to take from this, and we don't actually get the full potential out of it. We don't even push it enough so that people read the story. A lot of times we'll do YouTube channels or whatever we do, and we end up marketing to other artists and creators instead of like to people who might actually like the story. I don't know. There's just a lot of things we could do. Like I love the idea of putting out your story, maybe your first issue or something, or the first half of the first issue for free. Get people interested in your ideas. Like your ideas are worth something and they are interesting. Like we spend all this time creating these things, and I feel like sometimes we don't give it the proper push to really let people know about it. We'll go on to the next thing. We'll try to work at it for like, you know, a crowdfunding campaign or for like a couple months, and then that's it. We stop when there's still so much more potential. There's still so many people who might be delighted to read your story. Um, and and I just don't. I think a lot of times we don't give what we create enough like the attention it deserves. As far as like trying to get the word out about it. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? I don't know. I know I'm just talking about a lot of the same things I talk about, sort of, but I feel like this is a little bit. I don't know. Every time I I I start talking about this stuff, I feel like I'm still getting a fresh take on it, even though I say a lot of this similar things, because I just think us artists a lot of times we don't think on that wavelength as much. We want to make the art and we just focus on the art, and there's other things that need some attention too. So, anyways, I guess that's kind of my thing. um, and I just thinking about Glyph too, and to me, like Glyph is like I want it to be kind of at least my first attempt at building something that's a good story, and that's really what I'm working on right now. I'm just working on making it the best story I can make it. Um, I don't even know if I'm going to end up drawing it. I might, um, but I know I'm going to create it. I know I'm going to write it. That's my main goal right now is just to write it, and I've been working on that. But to me, it's like my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I'm not saying it's anything like as good as that or it's comparable to that, but it's kind of like that to me, or it's my like Harry Potter. Again, I'm not saying it's comparable to that, but it's just there's things that remind me of those properties in what I'm doing. Um, and again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's lightning in a bottle. It's hard to you sit there and you look at that and you can't how much can you take from that? I don't know. Like they just happen to hit the right thing, but I do think there's some things we can learn from it. Um, one of the things is that, like, look how crude it is, how crude it was in the beginning. Now, you know, granted, a lot of the stuff that was coming out at that time in the black and white boom was crude, and that was just like just the right kind of book for the right time, and it worked. For some reason it worked, and it's a huge thing. It became a huge thing. But what it does show us too is the potential. There's so much potential in what we do, and there's so much. It's hard to get the wheels rolling, but once you do get the wheels rolling even a little bit, you can start to actually make some progress. You can take one success and build off of that into some other success. You can, say you do have a book that people are really enjoying. Well, maybe there's some way you can make some kind of animated thing. I'm not talking about, like, obviously it's really hard to make animation, but maybe there's like some little animated shorts type of thing you can do. I don't know, like, or even on a lot of other levels, there's a lot of other ways you can tell a story. Maybe you could tell like smaller stories within that universe, you know, or maybe again, just taking a cue from some other things, like maybe a certain character is popular. Like, a lot of people like the character Tusk, even though, just from the visual of it. And I could do so much just with the visuals of Tusk and Glyph, especially once they become more established. And same for you guys. Like, oh, there's a lot of creators, I'm friends with all you guys, and like I've read some of your comic books, and I always trying to read the comics of my friends, and but some of them I haven't read. Like sometimes I don't know the name of a character or a comic that some of my friends make, and it's not because I'm not paying attention. It's because they don't really talk about it that much. And when they do talk about it, they talk about, their campaign, they talk about their Indiegogo or their Kickstarter or this or that, or like the process of it, but they don't even talk about like the actual story a lot of times. So I don't know what their story is about. Some people are better at that than others. Some people um, are just not good at letting people know about the story. I should know about my friends' stories, and what they're about. I should have heard about it so much that I'm sick of hearing about it. um, I know a lot about King Cryptid, and that's Peter Samiti of Alterna's comic. He's actually a really good example of somebody who knows how to market comic books. Um, and why did we know about, like, I always knew the story of Batman and the story of Spider-Man, and the story of the X-Men. And I've always known those stories, even though I haven't, even way before I ever read the actual comics, Superman, all that stuff. Why? Because, the stories are told over and over, especially when it comes to Marvel. Like, the greatest story that Stan Lee ever told was basically advocating for comics, but also just like he told verbally, he told the story of Spider-Man and all the characters that he was involved in, like just even like an elevator pitch version of like the origin and stuff like that. And I knew about that before I ever even read any of those comics. I feel like it's kind of like even like Bible stories. Like, even if you're not a Christian, a decent amount about Bible stories because it's been told over and over in different ways. Like, it's like we should be trying to find more and more ways to just let people get a foot in the stories that we create. If we just did that, like, because we spend all this time creating these things, like, why don't people know about them? It's because give it we didn't create the attention that it deserves a lot of times. And it's hard. Doing that is not easy. But if you spend all that time on creating something and you have passion for it, then also give it the time to, you know, create the awareness of it. So and this isn't a judgment or anything. This is just hopefully an encouraging thing. Like that's really the point of this. Is like I just want to encourage you guys and I want to do it better myself, to get your story out there. Find like I think about like people who like evangelize and stuff like or like sell things and it's like some of these people will like they'll find any way to get a foot in the door and talk about the thing they want to talk about. Like, oh yeah, you're eating a cheese sandwich. Oh, guess what? Glyph made a cheese sandwich in one of the stories I wrote. Like, you can find like some way, or my character would never eat cheese sandwiches. You ever hear this character I created? I don't know. Like, it sounds corny and cheesy, but like, there's ways to get you know your stuff known and spend the time to do that type of thing. I think we need to give so again nurturing the intellectual properties that we have and and not like abandoning them so fast. We abandon them and go to the next one and we don't like spend time on one. A lot of times we'll get the one book out and then we're on to the next project that's a totally different project. I'm not saying you can't do that and you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying, like, you know, if you do go on to the next one, that doesn't mean you should stop talking about the last one you made. You can still sell the book, of the last one you made. Um, just because, you already went through that Kickstarter campaign or that Indiegogo campaign doesn't mean that it has to stop there. Um, I mean, how often have we heard the origin of Spider-Man through so many different ways, or Batman, or all these characters? Like everybody in the world has had probably an opportunity to hear about those stories in one form or another. So yeah, I don't know. I guess that's my rant. Hopefully, it's not too offensive, or didn't rub anybody the wrong way, but let's get into the chat. I'll do a little cough session here and take a drink, and then we'll get into the chat. And also another thing, telling your own story. Like I'm thinking about starting the Escape Artist podcast back up. You know, just in the brainstorm phases with that, but um, and basically that title, Escape Artist Podcast, I also used to have the Working Artist Vlog. Again, same concept basically. It's the idea of like I'm creating things and I want to find a way to escape the day job, through my art. That's the surface meaning, but there's like kind of double, triple meanings to that as well. But also tell your story. What's the thing that drives you? For me, that's a big part of it. It's not the only thing. It's also, my story is that I was inspired by these awesome guys at Image you know, who created Image and decided to create their own characters, and that's what I want to do. You know, another part of my story is, I see the potential in comics and I want to bring comics to a new potential in my own way, which, and you guys have heard me say these things over and over and over again if you've been around for any amount of time. I've done 900 videos and reiterated a bunch of these things in many of those videos. Well, I don't know if I've done fully 900. We looked at that the other day, relatively recently, but I've done somewhere around 900 videos. And, I love talking to you guys about this stuff. But, I'm sure a lot of you have heard these things over and over. But I have more to say. We'll get into more throughout more videos and stuff. But, anyways, let me check in the chat here. Let's see. And if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free, of course, always. Um, Rax Ninjas, what's up? Groovy baby. How you doing? Let's see. Dede, I charge $150 for a portrait, people or pet. Oh, there you go. See, that's the thing. Like $150 for a comic page versus for a portrait, I mean, you guys can be the judge of which, uh, you know, it- what what things should be. I don't know what they should be, but like I don't know how long it takes for you to do a portrait, or of people or a pet. I know for me, it probably would take maybe it. I mean, I can't do it necessarily to Dee Dee's level, but um, it'd probably take me like an hour to 2 hours if they give me good reference. Uh, and that sounds like it's at least getting closer to, you know, that $300 for an hour's worth of work. I mean, I'm not saying everybody should be making $300 an hour. Like, I think if you're making $50 an hour as an artist, you're probably doing better than many people. And that's actually a sad thing to say, but we put way more hours into these things than it probably deserves monetarily. So I don't know. I do think we should think about the time in relationship to how much we charge when we charge things. Um, I think a lot of us don't. We forget how much time things just the research, you know, just the research to make a lot of art, especially if it's more imaginative art, that alone could take an hour or two or more. So yeah, it's kind of tough to really judge it, but I don't know. To me, I almost feel like I want to take that guy's example who's doing the roofs and be like, how much can I get for an hour of work? Try to push myself. It's not like I really am out there trying to find, art work for that's art anyways. But my way around that and my way of thinking differently about that is if you work hard enough to nurture your intellectual properties, then those properties will start working for you. That's a way you can invest as an artist. And it's not the stock market, but it's still properties. It's not real estate, but it's properties. And it can have a very hugely scalable profit margin if you really nurture those properties and it took people like Walt Disney and Stan Lee and these people like a lot longer to build these kind of things. Stan Lee was working in the industry long, and Jack Kirby was working in the industry long before they came up with, Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and all that stuff, and Ditko as well. Um, you know, so, but it's worth like nurturing those properties and eventually, and it's unfortunate that the creators didn't benefit from it too. That's the crazy thing, but that's a whole other discussion. But now we have the opportunity for creators to actually benefit from the things they create. We have so much opportunity and potential, and I think a lot of times don't give the things we create the attention it deserves when it comes to trying to get attention for these things. Um, so yeah, and I already said that before, but I don't know. I feel like I can't say it enough, even for my own self. Um, so I don't know. Hopefully it's not annoying. Bill Ray was making $6.50 per page working for Mad Magazine. Yeah, there's been times and situations where people were making good money, but $6.50 per page is, I don't think that's anywhere near standard. You know, nowadays or even back then. I mean, that's probably when Mad Magazine was going gangbusters and probably was selling better than any of the comics. In fact, I'm pretty sure that there were times at Marvel Comics where, and I know it wasn't always under Marvel Comics, but there's times where Mad Magazine was actually pulling most of the weight, monetary wise, and the comics weren't doing so well and stuff. I could be wrong, but yeah, but it's interesting. Lego was paying $250 per page. That's art and color. See, then that's doing the whole. That's not even just doing. You should be getting paid $250 just to do the penciling. I mean, I feel like, but that's a pipe dream. Nobody's doing that probably, except for people in there like Liefeld and McFarlane and Jim Lee in their heyday were probably, and even now are probably still making good money if they do page work. I mean, I think Jim Lee and McFarlane rarely do page work. But I know Liefeld still does, and Eric Larson still does. Uh, Drew DeRosa Art, what's up? Thanks for coming by. Um, Adam says, does anyone know of a self-published independent comic artist making a living from selling their comics today? Yes. Jason Brubaker is like the first, and I mean, maybe, I don't know if where he's at now. I mean, the last thing I saw him do was the cognitive drawing book, so that's not exactly from making comics, but um, you know, obviously a couple of the Comicsgate guys I think are doing pretty good. Um, there's that one dude that just made $1 million or whatever, or a couple million or however much, but it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare, but there are others. And I mean, I think Dan Klaus is making some good money. I think, you know, there's certain people. I'm sure Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg aren't doing too bad. I think there's people. And obviously, usually, even with all those examples, you can make the argument for, are they making their money fully from in their independent comics? And no, probably not. There's probably other stuff in the mix, all kinds of other stuff. But you know, I think, and I think that's what you have to do. I think you should diversify income streams, but there are people out there writing novels actually and making a living off of writing novels. I know that for a fact. And they're independent. They're independently producing their novels, and they're not even using crowdfunding necessarily. There's a lot of YouTubers out there just making a living, just talking about YouTube or talking about whatever it is they're into. And they use Patreon, which is crowdfunding, or they use obviously ad revenue. Like there's a lot of opportunities out there to get the word out about your stuff. And I feel like as comic creators, as creators of stories, we actually have like a superpower to be able to do this. We just don't tend to have the business acumen to make it happen, you know. And I don't think that has to be the case, you know. Walt Disney's life story is so inspirational. Yeah, especially the early days. I always like the early days of these people who have done well. Walt Disney is really, really interesting. And the thing that's cool about him is he revolutionized and basically almost created the animation industry. I mean, I know he wasn't the first, but he's the one who like really like revolutionized the animation industry in so many ways. Um And, you can say, you think about that term, a rising tide raises all ships. Like, if there wasn't Walt Disney, would animation be where it is today? Probably not. I mean, there was other animators who did amazing things too, so maybe they would have turned into the Walt Disney, but he had exceptional vision, that was uncommon. I feel like that is uncommon, and I think that's a big part of it too, is having the vision for these things. And there's no reason why we can't do something similar in our own way. Adolfo Bailey, what's up? How you doing? Let's see. I know so. Dede says, I know some making money with YouTube drama. Yeah, again, Comicsgate and other people for sure. I got a cough again. So for Pinterest ads, you need ad block on your browser. Yeah, I should use ad block. I think I had it at one point. I don't know. I should get it. um, Not calling it drama, but excited to see the Doug TenNapel has returned to YouTube. Oh, he has? Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and if there's anybody who makes a living off of comics, he's probably independent comics. He's probably one of the prime examples. I mean, he makes money. That's for sure. And then there's this whole thing about NFTs. I know that's like another big can of worms that a lot of people aren't into, and but I do think that it might be more a part of our future than we'd like to admit. It just isn't. It isn't in its mature stage yet. And that is actually a pretty cool opportunity. That will be, I think, a pretty cool opportunity for us creators. I think in the future, creators are going to actually have a little more. I think we might possibly have more opportunity than we've ever had. I don't know for sure. I mean, I'm not a psychic, but or whatever, a fortune teller. But I think there's a lot of things coming up that are really interesting for creative people in general. So, Greg Mechaboy, what's up? It's always great to see your videos. Thanks. I'm glad you're hanging out and watching. Let's see. Sideburns, aka Dan, save the video to watch later. Yeah, and to everybody watching on the replay or lurking in the background, much love to y'all and much love to everybody in the chat as always. Let's see. What you working on? Are you talking to me? I'm doing observational drawing comics. And I don't know, like, should I like publish this eventually? I kind of think it would be cool, like, to take the best pages that I make and turn it into like an observational drawing comic, and maybe have like some words, like some different things, like talking about observational drawing, and just almost as like a drawing inspiration book or something. I don't know. It's obviously not the best comic making. It's not even meant to be good drawings, but I don't know. I think it could be something that's although there's probably like, even this is like probably copy. I drew it from a picture on Pinterest, so it's technically probably get in trouble for copyright stuff. But on my little level of create, I doubt it would be like this gangbusters book that would be huge. So I don't, it kind of doesn't matter. It's almost like just a sketchbook or something. So I don't know. The only thing is, like, I want to like, even though I've been toying with the idea of like publishing some of my work as a comic that I've already made, like, I kind of want my first published floppy comic, traditional comic, to be Glyph, and that's what I'm working towards. Like I said, I have this book, and I'm working in it every day, trying to figure out the Glyph story, and you know, it's I'm looking forward to, I mean, my goal is to have something publishable, or, I'd like to maybe have the first issue done by February 22nd, which is my birthday. But I don't know if I will. I'm even toying with the idea of publishing it first as a web comic on my website and things like that, maybe page by page, and then publishing it as, a book. Like I said, I got 4 chapters to it. I don't know how many issues that'll be. It could possibly be 4 issues, um, but or it could be like 40 issues. I don't know. If I go the 40 issues route, then that takes away the opportunity for it to become like, a single graphic novel, which, so that's, I'm kind of leaning more towards 4 issues, or 5 or 6 or 7 issues, or something that could be turned into one full book. But I don't know. We'll see how it works out. I'm definitely excited about it. It's coming together, starting to come together, slowly but surely. Don't get Adam started. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to say Bill Watterson's name in vain. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, Charles Schultz is one of Bill Watterson's biggest influences, in his top three. So, yeah, I thought I heard that. And they are very different when it comes to commercializing their properties, though, and licensing them. Watterson only licensed 2 calendars, a very limited run of shirts for an event, a very limited illustration print, and a postage stamp. Yeah, that's the thing, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But, the thing is it makes me feel like, is that the pure way to do it? That's not the pure way to do it. I think there's nothing wrong. Like, it's almost like it implies that we shouldn't be doing that. I almost feel like, from when I hear that about him. And I'm probably getting him all wrong, and I love, trust me, like, I love his work. I think it's awesome. But, like, just that fact sometimes bothers me, Um but I don't think he's trying to impose that on other people. I hope not. Um but to me, like, it's like, there's nothing wrong with making money on your stuff that you create, you know? I just don't agree with that, personally. It's not something I would want to do. Um, I think it's cool that things are published in different ways, I don't know. And for us artists, it's hard enough to make a living. And that's the thing, is this is Bill Watterson. Like, he had one of the most successful ever comic strips ever created, so he has the luxury to do that, So I don't know, maybe I'm being too harsh, but it just bothers me a little bit, because I feel like it almost sends a message out to creative people that, there's something wrong in doing any kind of licensing or commercializing your property. And I don't think that's true. I think, licensing your stuff is just as honorable as not licensing your stuff, personally. Um, so yeah, Glyph is your flagship character, but I think your short stories have legs as well. I appreciate that, Adam. You rock. Thank you for saying that. And I do think they do as well. And I would like to probably develop them more too. And I may publish them, the old ones, as a full, anthology too, at some point. But yeah, I think you're right. Glyph is kind of my flagship thing, and it's the thing I've been wanting to make since I was young, pretty young kid, So I got to do it, Adam says complete 8 ball paperback came out today. $40 on Amazon versus the previous $475 hardcover. That's awesome. That's really cool. $650 per page is definitely not standard. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Is Mad Magazine a comic or a magazine? Because the rates are different for those two industries. Yeah, well, it started as a comic. It's not in print anymore. It's not a thing anymore. But the the but it was like, it started as a comic, and then it became a magazine. But I mean, it's full of comics. It's a magazine that's full of comics, which is kind of a weird thing, but it's humor though. I mean, humor goes a long way, you know. And if you package it up right, I mean, they always hit on a lot of pop culture references. I think that's why they did so well, and they became popular. That it's like Mad Magazine, cracked, and like SNL, like people who, college kids who are into all that stuff, you know, I feel like was a big part of, what popularized Mad Magazine, and those kind of things. Now, Mad Magazine has been around for a long time though. I don't know exactly when, but I think, probably was the inspiration for things like, Saturday Night Live and stuff like that. Um, but it's always been like this, what do you call it? There's a word that I'm trying to get to, like a comedy, but satirizing. I know the word, but words aren't coming to me today. Satirizing? I don't know. That thing. You guys know what I'm talking about. Mad was a comic first, then comic magazine. Yep. No longer in business now. Yep. Nathan says the reason I ask is because prices are different depending on the industry. Yeah. So, um, yeah, and that's true. Same piece of art can have a different price depending on the usage. That is so true too. Yep. Adam Moore, good example of successful independent creators. Marsh. Oh, I thought you were saying me. No, not so much. I don't know much about Jason Brubaker. Yeah, he's. Um, I get what you're saying. You were saying I was saying some good examples. I gotcha. Um, but yeah, Jason Brubaker's a pretty inspirational dude. Let's see. The Mad example was just an example of something I heard recently, but that I thought was surprisingly high rates. Yeah, I get what you mean, man. Don't know if the comic or mags one format has had a different rates. Yeah, I'm not sure. What's up, Paul? How you doing? Just got back. All right, cool. Janet, hello, Janet. How you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful night. And everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful night. Let's see what else. What else? Did you guys see like the changes in YouTube? There's some interesting changes. Speaking about like trying to get the word out about your stuff, like YouTube Shorts is becoming a big thing. And one thing that's really cool that I haven't heard anybody talk about, which is weird because I look into like YouTube content all the time. Well, not all the time, sometimes, and I have been lately, is there's this new thing. If you look on people's video, if you look on this video, especially if you're on your phone, I don't know, I don't think, yeah, it's not part of like the desktop version, but if you're on your phone, there's a little button underneath the video that says remix. And it might not be on live streams, probably not on live streams, but you can press that button and you can take a slice of any video and use it kind of the way you would use videos and stuff on TikTok, which is interesting. And it's also interesting for us creator people who make our own videos. So I could take a piece, like an interesting part, like a 1 minute interesting chunk from this video without even having to download the video myself and edit it myself. I could take a chunk of it and release it as a short. And I've noticed that my shorts get subscribers, they get a lot more views sometimes. Um, so it's an interesting way to kind of give like a small part of the longer video you did, and it also can point back to that longer video, so it's a way to get people maybe interested enough to watch the full video as well. So a little tidbit, a little bonus, kind of strategy there for you guys. I'm going to definitely try to take advantage of some of that the best I can. um, Hopefully not in an annoying way. Also, they split up proper videos, live streams, and shorts. So, the shorts kind of look ugly on your feed. So now it doesn't have to, you can click on shorts to get to shorts or whatever, and it doesn't look all cluttered on your YouTube channel, which is nice. So, anyways, that's another cool little bonus. I think YouTube is doing some pretty interesting things. Gary Hodges, I don't think there is a should with regards to Watterson. His approach was important to him, but we each have to find our own way through the forest. Yeah, totally. And I was being a little hard on Watterson, but I was also saying that it is true. Like, he probably isn't saying everybody should do this. But just him doing that in some ways makes me, it just makes me emotionally react that way. It's probably not fair for me to emotionally react that way, especially as a judgment towards him. I mean, it's okay for me to emotionally react whatever way, but as an emotion, as a judgment towards him, that's why I was like, I kind of maybe overstepped with that a little bit. But yeah, let's see. Chris Clue, what's up? Thanks for coming by. What else? What else? Watterson was imposing his views on other cartoonists and was strongly against over merchandising. I think those of us who love toys and merchandise should go for it. Yeah. So okay, so he was. I mean, I know Adam, you probably know a lot more about Watterson than I do. I've watched like documentaries and stuff, but it's been a while since I have. So, but yeah, so he was actually imposing his views on other cartoonists. So there you go. So in that case, then I don't feel that bad if that is the truth, because I don't think that's right. But it is what it is. People can have their opinions, and that's fine. Um, but I don't agree, with Watterson's view as far as that goes, personally. Let's see. Nathan says, I think Watterson's issue was that he liked privacy and didn't want his characters misused, which I get, but I also don't agree with. But he did get paid by all those newspapers. Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing is like, I don't actually care if people misuse my characters. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'd be singing a different tune if I saw certain things, but to me, it's like you can only control what you can control. And when people want to find out what the real glyph is, they'll go to the source. And if they want to just have the silly things, and the thing is what Watterson not wanting the misuse didn't stop people from misusing his characters. you know, aka, for example, the obvious, Calvin and Hobbes, like, or which one is Calvin and which one is Hobbes? Like, the kid is Calvin, right? So Calvin, pissing on things on, stickers on the trucks and stuff like that. Like, and I'm sure I know he doesn't like that, and but it didn't stop it. So, you know, you can't even control it even if you're Bill Watterson. So I don't know. I think that Jana says, I think that when they pay my bills, they get an opinion. I think that when they pay my bills, they get an opinion. Otherwise, I'm going to do my own thing. Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. And sometimes that is the case, but sometimes even if they pay your bills, you know, yeah, they can have an opinion, but that doesn't mean I'm going to listen to it, I guess. uh, you still got, as a creator, you definitely got to do your own thing to a certain degree, or else if you're just like working only for what an audience wants, it's actually going to convolute, I think, what you create. And we've seen that happen before with certain properties. People have listened too much to the audience, and the property has been worse for it at times. And we've seen it the other way as well, where people have listened to the audience and it actually contributed something interesting to the creative process. So it's a balancing act. It's something that's not always easy to even judge, and figure out. Adam, do you receive the oh, you guys are talking satire. Yes, thank you, Dede. Today they would call it triggering. Yeah. Painters are still here. I think they're getting ready to pack. Oh, you guys are talking about the I hope everything's all done soon, Janet, with that. Oh, let's see. Case in point, I do own a bootleg Hobbs doll. There you go. And that's the thing too, is like when creators don't make stuff available, people will find ways to make it or get it themselves because they want it, you know. You're actually in some ways depriving people of the joy of enjoying more of your stuff, you know, in some ways. Like I said, I feel like the Charles Schultz Snoopy Peanuts legacy is so much richer actually for the fact that they had like holiday specials, and you can buy cups and all kinds of merchandise with the stuff on it, so is everything great? Like, I mean, the MetLife commercials with Snoopy, that I think is a big uh kind of example of um of like the sorry, I got a little distracted. um it's it's a good example of how it can actually enrich your stuff to have your creative product properties used in different ways. But yeah, the MetLife thing is like, I think what Bill Watterson was making a point like that, or maybe other people have made that point, that Snoopy being on the MetLife stuff cheapened the property, but I don't think so. I think people still have fond memories of Snoopy, um, and and have a fondness and a joy for the character. Even with that, it just more more visibility really than anything, and some of those commercials were actually kind of fun and cute. It is what it is. Like, do I want my character selling life insurance? Probably not, but it is what it is. Like, people make their choices, and I certainly don't begrudge them for doing that. And I especially artists who have a hard enough time making a living as it is. I don't begrudge them for taking advantage of anything they can, you know? Again, our creativity is so undervalued by the world in general, especially when it comes to uh the commercial world. We should be making way more than we do, even on the higher levels to some degree. Now, I'm not saying we should make more than, doctors or firemen, and sometimes we do, things like that. But there's a million ways to kind of debate the issue for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I knew if I mentioned Bill Watterson and Charles Schultz, it would end up, you know, becoming a discussion. I can't help it, but I didn't really want to necessarily go down that rabbit hole too much. But I think hopefully I've made my point that I just feel like we should that our properties deserve more nurturing than we give them generally. So, and also that's the opportunity we have. We have the opportunity to create our own version of Disney, and not only that, if you are more in it for the business side of things, and I'm not saying you should do this, but this is an opportunity to do, you can also sell that property eventually, you know. But really, the best thing, in my opinion, is to retain your property rights and license it. That's one thing, or just create your own things with it. you know, there's no reason why you can't use your characters in many different ways. And the thing is all these things that we create, some of them on their own could have a life of their own and then point back to the original story eventually, and people will be like, oh, I didn't know that this cool mug that I have with this character saying a funny thing, I didn't know that there's like a whole comic book, line of stories with this character. Like, I don't know, like I love Gru. Gru is awesome. Gru the Wanderer, Sergio Aragones. And it's like, I don't know how much he ever merchandise stuff with that, but I could see just that character being popular in commercial uses. And what how delighted would I be if I just saw this cool character on a mug or on a t-shirt or on, some kind of advertisement, and I found out that, oh, there's a comic book of this, and then I read it. Like, how delighted would I be to have found out, about Gru through whatever means, anything that's cool, you would be delighted to find out about. So, and it doesn't matter like what door you came through to find that, I think. So, let's see. Bill Watterson wasn't completely against animated specials. At one point, he was developing a Calvin and Hobbes cartoon. Oh, that's cool. Calculus Inator Vicdu. What's up? Hey, how you doing? um, so yeah, I don't know. So what do you guys think about this observational comic work here? I gotta get the focus again. do 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 do. And this is just an image off of Pinterest. And then again, this is from the comicbookplus.com imagery, and I got the kind of panel layout sort of from that. And it's just messy, observational, fun drawings. I enjoyed talking to you guys and drawing this. And I think there's value in just doing that. And maybe I learned some stuff as I was drawing it too. I don't know. Maybe I just got better motor memory for drawing stuff. Maybe I figured out a couple things about drawing hands that I didn't know, or whatever. I don't know what I learned exactly, if I learned anything, but I don't know. I think it's a pretty fun little layout, and I'll add more to it tomorrow or tonight or something. And yeah, it's kind of like that when I was making the comic book, what was it called again? The comic book sketchbook or something. I had a name for it. Learning comics sketchbook. I should know this. See, I should be better with my marketing and like know what I created. Hopefully next time I stream, which will be next Tuesday most likely, um, at 6:30. Hopefully I won't be sick again, because it just seems like it's never ending sickness. Let's see. Uh, Looks cool, Marsh. Thanks, Nathan. Love the top right illustration. Thanks. Again, I'm copying from other stuff, so, but they both look good. Thanks. Appreciate it, everybody. Anthology? What are you asking about, Dede? Am I doing an anthology? Eventually, I probably will be involved with another anthology or make my own. This is just like observational sketchbook comics. So this might turn into a little comic book slash maybe tutorial type of book for inspiration. Good mood, expression, and hands. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Peter. The Level Up Sketchbook. I couldn't think of it. So I created this thing called the Level Up Sketchbook, and that's basically what this is just another exercise for the Level Up Sketchbook. In fact, maybe I'll make another Level Up Sketchbook video about observational drawing. That's probably something I should do, because I'm right now I'm working on ideas for new videos that are more like uploaded, edited videos. still going to be doing this, and I'm probably going to be doing the podcast on YouTube as well, the Escape Artist podcast. That might be more of a monthly thing. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do, but I also want to make proper videos from time to time that are more on the edited side and have a specific topic, and shorter videos and stuff. There's a bunch of stuff. I definitely want to hit YouTube, as hard as I possibly can, because I love this platform, to be honest. I've enjoy it. I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and I enjoy connecting with you guys. Like, that's the coolest thing. You know how many people I've met through having a YouTube channel? It's insane. It's insane how many awesome creators I've connected with through having a YouTube channel. And a lot of you guys in the chat are some of them, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, you know. And I really appreciate you guys watching and hanging out with me. It's so fun. And it means the world to me. It really does. Calculus says, "Hey Adam, Marsh was the one trying to get into Alterna, right?" Yeah, I definitely want to get into Alterna. I would love to. I think I will be submitting Glyph there. I might even submit them to Image Comics. I don't expect to get accepted by them, but I also would like to get maybe some short stories into. It came out on a Wednesday. That would be really fun too. But I've talked to Peter many times. He's been on the show a couple times. I talked to him in person a couple times. He knows who I am. We've had some great chats. He's a really cool guy, and I would love to. I totally 100% believe in what he's doing. I love what he's doing. Super huge fan, and I can't wait to. I would really love to take even even a little part in doing something in the Alternaverse. That would be really cool. But yeah, I'll probably submit Glyph. I don't expect it to be accepted or anything. But I would like to find my way in that door someday and play my little part at some point. That would be cool. Uh, do 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 do. What you are calling your work you were referring to? Yeah, I've had a lot of anthology ideas, Dede. Um, and you already know I've been in anthologies and stuff, and but for everybody else, I've been in a few. Adam is talking about the Life in Space book as well. I was in that. Yep. The 100 Days of Making Comics anthologies, the AAA Creators anthologies. I've been in a bunch, and I enjoy doing that. And I am gonna make an anthology. I do want to make like a short story anthology, and Dede, the comic I did with Dede, is gonna be one of those stories in there, the 1 page comic. And I plan to make more 1 page comics as well. Yeah, I did an interview Dan Fraga a long time ago, and I would love to do something with him because he knows who I like. Every time I go on his one of his chats, he's like, "Oh, hey Marsh," like him and I have similar interests. Like, he's into hip hop and stuff, and we chatted a bit. And yeah, he's a really cool, nice dude. I like Dan Fraga, and he's probably an example of somebody who's done well with indie comics, I guess. But you know, he left comics that he was working at Image, and then he left comics. He ended up doing a lot of things, art directing, and um, you know, he did a lot of storyboard stuff. He actually was like kind of a rock star in the storyboard world, I guess, from what I understand. And he came back to doing comics, and I can't wait to get his comic whenever it's done, because I mean, I was a huge fan of Black Flag when it first came out in Image Comics. He was one of my favorite creators at Image Comics. And it's crazy that I got like that he knows who I am, and like, we've had talks and stuff. Like, that's so cool. He's a really He's a really cool dude. I like a big fan. Let's see. Marsh, who all have you interviewed on the Escape Artist podcast? Oh man, so many people. The last interview I did was Kevin Cross because he was a huge inspiration to me even doing podcasts. So I wanted him to be the 100th episode. I did a lot of the Escape Artist podcasts were just me talking about, you know, the kind of the same stuff I talked about today, but in different realms of things, just the journey of being an artist and trying to make it type of thing. But then I did start doing interviews. I had Jeff Lafferty on once. I know I had a lot of, my friends that I met through YouTube on the Escape Artist podcast. Nobody huge like Dan Fraga. I don't know if he was just on the YouTube. I don't know if that was an Escape Artist podcast. I think it might have been actually. So he might have been like the biggest name, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I've had a lot of big names necessarily, but just friends, I've had on it. So do what else? Calculus says I was into Alterna for a bit and then just started to dislike them. No, well, that's cool, man. To each their own. I was into them. I am into them. I'm freaking big fan of Alterna. Any one manthology's coming. Yeah, that's that's something I was thinking of calling an anthology as well, the one manthology. I think I'm not gonna go with that title anymore, but I still do have that idea to do an anthology on my own, I think that would be fun, and it probably will happen at one point or another. I don't have a definite plan yet with that, but it's something I'll be working towards, And also another thing I talked about in a video recently was doing a ash can anthology. I thought that would be a cool idea. We'll see, maybe one day. Janet, I had to turn on the flood. Like, oh, you guys are talking about the painters. Okay, so, anyways, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. My cough has been stupid, and luckily it's subsided for the most part while I was on this video. But please subscribe and like if you haven't already, and thank you for hanging out with me. And also, you can sign up for my newsletter if you want, and you'll get some free content there. I'm gonna be sending out even free stuff in the mail, like little postcards with some art on it and stuff. Hopefully soon. Uh, so yeah. Uh, you can sign up for that if you like. Of course, I wouldn't share your address with anybody or anything. It's just all only meant for me being able to send you guys some fun stuff once in a while. But also, I'm gonna be putting in like stories, like probably some free comics and stuff here and there, digital comic type stuff in there, and just another place for the community to kind of to hang out with the community and stuff. So the newsletter is the place to be, y'all. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and we will talk to you next Tuesday on the next video, the next live stream. All right, later, guys.